Hello, this is Gloomy Sunday, and once again, I will be sharing 5 strange and spooky stories tonight that will send shivers down your spine. Without further ado, let me tell you the first one. Do you believe in glitches in the Matrix? Well, this one didn't happen to me, but to a friend who also went to the same university. My friend had a boyfriend back in the 80s, and they used to hang out in the university, as most broke students do. And one particular time, her boyfriend, who studied in Amtha University, was really late for a date. Like 2 hours late. Since she lived in a dorm on the campus, she didn't mind. But that was really uncharacteristic of him. He was back then a pre-med student, and was very reliable. Remember this, the pre-cell phone era. But when they finally met, he looked like he was on the verge of tears. She really didn't know why. Their relationship took a turn for the worse. It was like the boyfriend lost almost all enthusiasm. So after 6 months, she broke it off. Years after, they meet randomly in a restaurant, and she now has a daughter. Her younger brother was also with her. He smiled as if he recognizes them both. This was 2018, and they leave amicably, exchanging Facebook Messenger handles. He then tells her, after a lot of awkward messages, the reason why their relationship ended. He did acknowledge that it was from his end, but he had a very valid reason. See, back in 1988, the day that he got late on the way to meeting her in the university, it got very foggy. Then there was a flash of violet. Then he saw her. But she was with this little girl who looked like her, and her brother. He tried to greet her, but was flabbergasted and couldn't move when the girl called her mama. The same two he would meet in the restaurant. It was at that moment that he knew for sure that they weren't going to end up together. My friend would tell me that she and her brother would often take out her daughter for trips to the university when she was growing up, but she never recalled meeting someone. But she did recall having encountered that unusual kind of weather. Her daughter did call her, since they were rushing on the way back to the car, and the little girl was being left behind. Thinking that the weather could turn and that it would rain any time. My friend said that incident happened around 2010. Now on the next story. On a dark and stormy night, my car broke in the middle of the superhighway. It looks like this rain won't stop anytime soon, and I do not want to stay in the car, so I stepped out. Just my luck, as I am now soaking wet, hungry, and felt like I want to strangle somebody. I have been walking for I think 3 kilometers already, trying to find a gasoline station or any shop at all that could help me fix my vehicle, to no avail. I've been giving this hitchhike signal to all vehicles passing, but they are all ignoring me. 20 or maybe 30 already passed, no one. Gosh, I'm hungry, and my anger grows when I'm hungry. I'm so cold, my impulse goes crazy when I'm cold. Suddenly, a miracle. A pink Camry stopped right in front of me. Window rolled down, and I saw the most angelic face in the whole world. I think this is love at first sight. She then asked if I need a lift. Of course, I said yes. She can literally take me wherever she wants, no questions asked. Forget the car. I hopped in the car and thanked her. I also apologized because her car's seat became wet because of me. She said she doesn't mind at all. What a kind-hearted angel. I just didn't know how to start a conversation with her, as her beauty was so intimidating. My brain farted, and I asked the dumbest question. Hey, aren't you afraid if I turn out to be a criminal or a serial killer? I asked. She said she doesn't mind. She also said that the probability of 2 serial killers randomly meeting each other and riding the same car is very low. She dropped me off the nearest gasoline station in 3 separate black bags. On to the third story. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and my 7-year-old sister and I are watching television together. As we're watching, My sister suddenly turned to me and grinned broadly and said, "You know, I want to be an actress, and then you, mommy and daddy will watch me sa TV." To lighten her mood, I teased her with, "Are you serious? But you are so ugly." She rolled her eyes at me and crossed her arms. I taunted her more to make her more mad, but my mother emerged from the bedroom carrying my sister's small backpack. My mother exclaimed, "Let's head to school, Marie. We're late," and my sister rushed to her. She is about to cry and was very angry with me right now. My mother scolded me from teasing her. Before they leave through the door, she rolled her eyes at me one more. Because it genuinely makes me pleased whenever I annoy her, I laughed once more and said by ugly face. After they left, I continued to watch TV. I didn't realize that I fell asleep. I just woke up because someone suddenly slapped me and I stood up from lying down because of the great shock. I thought Mom and Marie had arrived, but it creeped me out when I confirmed that I was the only one in the house alone and there was no sign of anyone. I saw my cell phone on the table. I took it, and when I opened it, I saw a message from Mom. "Just cook water for yourself. Your sister and I will be eating at the mall." The message was delivered 1 hour ago. Weird. It gives me chill, but I don't want to scare myself more, so I just think that it was just my imagination or a dream. I felt hungry, so I cooked food and ate it. Hours passed and it was already late night, but Mom and Marie still didn't come home. I texted my mother several times and called her, but there was no response. I wanted to text Dad, but he's on a business trip and I don't want to bother him. I was about to call Mom again, when the door suddenly opened and Marie came in sweating. We looked at each other and she just smiled at me and sat on the couch. "Where is Mom?" I asked her. "She is parking the car outside," she replied and smiled again. I breathed a sigh of relief and sat next to Marie. I turned on the TV and when I opened it, it was the news. I stood up first and went to the kitchen to get a glass of water for Marie because she was sweating. When I returned to the living room where Marie was, I saw her very happy and pointing at the TV. "Look, I am on the TV," she said with a big smile on her face.
Headline: The mutilated body of a young girl discovered inside a sack. The head and internal organs are still missing.
Now on to the fourth story. This story did not happen to me personally. This is the experience of one of my classmates in medical school. During our first year of medical school, we had an anatomy lab class. We studied the human parts through actual cadavers. These cadavers were unclaimed bodies from different morgues and were bought by medical schools. I believe most of these cadavers had no families to claim them. In anatomy class, we are grouped into 5 to 6 students per cadaver. One morning, while we were busy dissecting the cadavers, the other group near us were laughing, like they're having a good time. When I went there to find out what was so funny, I found out my classmate, whom we will call Ronald, was making rude comments about the organs of their cadaver. Ronald is one of our class comedians, besides me, but I told him, "Hey, let's respect the dead. This is not funny." So they finally became serious on dissecting, but I can still hear some chuckles. The following day, I was up and bubbly to start school when I noticed my classmates milling together on one area, as if gossiping about something. Since one of my hobbies is to gossip, I went there and their faces looked scared and serious. I asked them what happened and they told me that when Ronald got home from school yesterday, while he was in his room, he heard small pebbles being thrown on his glass window. When he looked outside, he was stunned to see a man on his neighbor's roof that looked like their cadaver. He frantically went downstairs all panicked and told his dad. When they went out to see, there was nobody on the roof. Even their neighbors swore nobody was there. When I learned this story, I got goosebumps. I told myself that it was his karma. We should never make fun of the dead. I think he learned his lesson. The cadaver never showed itself again to him. This is the fifth and last story. When I was learning to drive, I got into an accident where a speeding van hit me while I was doing a turn. It was a very bad hit and the driver's side was destroyed and the car turned on its side. I was knocked out of consciousness for a few seconds, and when I regained consciousness, I saw my recently passed grandmother on the other side of the street. I didn't even have a scratch on me. I went to her grave after I went to the hospital to make sure I paid my respects and express gratitude. Fast forward 2 years. I was very active in the church, and during a seminar that was scheduled on Halloween, one of the lay ministers we invited to talk asked if anyone had a ghost story involving a family member. I recanted my story and he told me, "What if I told you you did not see your grandmother?" He then said, "Since we are Catholic, we believe that no spirits are allowed on earth, and many verses of the Bible reflects this." He then gave multiple verses which narrates that the dead, if you are Catholic, does not roam the earth. He then asked, "Since I'm Catholic, and I believe in the Bible, who then did I see if it wasn't my grandmother?" After being silent, he said it is the devil. He then tells us, the devil's main job is not actually to make you sin. Their main work is to bring you further from God. Sin is just one of the ways. The devil has been around since forever, and the devil knows that if he showed up red with horns, or being scary looking, we will cling harder to our faith. He is shrewd and will instead use deception to bring us away from God. After the accident, I went and gave thanks to my grandmother, which according to the minister, I should have been giving thanks to Jesus. In a way, I was worshipping a false idol. I was brought further away from Jesus. I'm not sure if I believe the minister. As a Filipino, our culture is to honor the dead, as we believe that they will guide us and protect us. If there is a butterfly, we even say it's one of our dead visiting us. He does, however, make a point that the dead aren't allowed to interact with us in our Catholic faith. What do you guys think? Did I see and was protected by my grandmother, or was it the devil, fooling me to worship a false idol? I hope you enjoyed our spooky stories. Join us next time for more spooky stories.